Everybody. Hope you guys are having a beautiful Sunday. Hello, hello. I am seriously impressed at so many of you who've been here and who've shown up for like the majority of the days, if not all of the days. I mean, come on. Can you really honor yourselves for like the massive accountability and the commitments? Like, seriously, pat self on back here. I mean, Ninzio, Doris, Jenny, Jess, John, Michelle. I've seen like every day, you guys. I've seen Mark every day, I think. Definitely like honoring you for showing up to the transformations and the tools that you want to get. So, like, give yourselves a massive pat on back, round of applause. I'm really honored that you've chosen to share your time with me. Time is not, one of those resources that we give away lightly. So, okay. So welcome to our last bonus session, our last session of the workshop too. And today we're going to talk about the biggest hurdle that I see talented singers in and how to shift it and how to get over it, get around it, get under it, but get past it, right? And after 25 years of doing this, of being a professional singer myself, I was actually at a rehearsal right before this, doing a concert with a mezzo coming up in the fall. And we're doing all kinds of mezzo and soprano duets. We're doing Marriage of Figaro duet. We're kind of doing the greatest hits because that's what people love. We're doing the Lakme duet. In any case, like I've been doing this a long time as a professional singer, as a coach. And what I have noticed is that the biggest hurdle that singers have to singing the way that they want is, guys, it's not actually an external struggle that you're fighting outside of yourself. It's not money, it's not time, it's not poor training, it's not a technique thing or any other external thing. It's actually an internal thing. It's an internal struggle, which means that you can affect it and you can change it today. So let's unpack this. Let's unravel this. The biggest hurdle that I see is fixed mindset versus growth mindset. So most of you are acting from who you are now, who you've always been, instead of acting from who you want to be and making decisions for your singing, for your career, for what you're up to from who you want to be. And so when you are acting from who you've always been and who you are now instead of who you want to be, who you get to be, it really stunts your growth because you don't take the actions of who you want to be. You take the actions of who you've always been. And then you get what you have always gotten, and things stay fixed in your mind, in your body, because as we know, your body is only always ever reacting to your mind when you sing, both on stage and off. And I have seen a lot of comments in the chat over this last week that I've been with you all about not feeling worthy of really going after your singing in a bigger way, of being scared of taking that leap. A lot of you resonated with what Leah Lisa was talking about. A lot of you resonated with Marie was talking about that imposter syndrome. A lot of you, when these guys were talking about their journeys with all of that, and I know that it's hit home. And so this shows up, guys, in your technique, for example, big time. So if you're having trouble opening up parts of your voice, like Nunzio, what you and I were doing the other day, trying to get that connection into that higher voice, right? For example, if you're having trouble opening up the passaggio and the higher part of the voice, you have to work on getting that opposition to work in your body to do that, an opposition that serves you, that's not too small, that's not too forced and big, right? It's like the Goldilocks of opposition. And you have to get that to work for you in your body. But if you have a fixed mindset, then, for example, high notes are hard. Passaggio is hard. Changing registers is hard. Mixed voice is hard. They've always been hard. Other people can do that, but that's not my voice. I can't do that right now. Maybe I've never been able to do that. That's just the way it is. It's the way it's been for a while. It's the way it's always been. And that is fixed mindset. You want something different. You want that ease in the high notes. You want that confidence. You want high mixed voice with ease. You want to be able to get through passaggio with ease. You want something different, but what you believe is possible and what you believe you're worth has set up a giant resistance to that, which makes what you want nearly impossible to actualize. Even though you want to open up your high voice, your body won't, it will not go as far as you need it to go in your opposition, or it goes too far because it's too scared and it will not trust. Either way, this is because the resistance to that fixed mindset that it creates is just way too powerful, because you're singing from who you've always been instead of who you want to be, who you could be in that moment. Who you've always been doesn't believe it's possible, doesn't believe you're worth it, doesn't believe you can do it. So you will self-protect, and you will either keep yourself small or you'll do the opposite. You'll need to prove and you will force and you will push. Either way, your body doesn't get the optimum opposition that it needs for your high notes or your passaggio or your mix, whatever it may be. And then that aspect of your singing, high voice mix, passaggio, stays stuck just how it is. Fixed mindset, okay? But when you've cultivated growth mindset, you step into who you want to be, who you get to be, which is curious, brave, fearless, fill in the blank. Guys, do it right now. Tell me in the chat, who do you want to be? And don't let the little monkey mind go, oh, but that's not you. Oh, but if you weren't scared, who do you want to be? Put it in the chat right now. Plant your flag. Put it out there for God and the universe and your fellows and everybody to see. Decide. I want to see it. Who do you want to be? Who do you get to be? Nunzio, Steve Perry. Yes. Okay. But what are the qualities of Steve Perry? Is Steve Perry brave? Is he experimental? Is he excited? Is he fearless? Like, what is he, right? Yes, Mark, the best I can be. But what is that? You guys, I need you to zoom in. I know you want to be the best you can be, but identify. You guys, transformation happens in the specific. I say that at least 4 times a day when I'm coaching in the intensive. Transformation happens in the specific. So Jessica, I want to be courageous. Great, that is specific. So Mark, the best I can be. What does that mean? What is that? Who are you being when you are the best you can be? Are you being lazy? Are you being accountable, right? Like, who do you want to be? Okay, Mark, uniquely me. I'm going to poke you on this, my friend. What is that? Identify what is that? You get to be fearless. You get to be brave. What are the things that when you have cultivated growth mindset and you step out of the being that you've always been that has kept you in the fixed mindset, that's how it's always been. Who do you get to be? Doris, honest. Yes, I'm gonna add to that, authentic, right? So Connor, yes, you want to be a singer-songwriter that makes music that connects to others. So you want to be, what's the word, is you want to make impact. You want to be impactful and connecting, right? So find the words, guys, that are the emotional descriptive qualities, because it's fantastic to say, I want to be uniquely me. But do you know who that is? And the person who is uniquely you, who you've always been, do we need to identify the qualities that serve you the most to get you where you want to go? Who do we get to be to move the needle? And so when you've cultivated growth mindset and you're clear and stepping into who you want to be, authentic, curious, Mark, confident, yes, now that's more specific, soulful, yes, okay? When you've cultivated that and you get to step into who you want to be, then the actions that you take are coming from that place. being confident, being inspirational. Mila, brave, passionate, energetic, contagious. The actions, Mila, that you take from that place, when you sing and your body responds to that version of you, it becomes 10 times easier to go as far as you need to go in your body, in your techniques, so that it works, so that the opposition and the high notes become easy. And you are then taking action towards the things that you want that are aligned, that the action that serves everything you want. And so, guys, growth mindset is 90% of the time all about taking contrary action. The voice in your head is screaming at you, danger, don't change it up, don't do this, danger, danger. That's your inner critic. And it's just trying to protect you. And in doing so, it will continue to keep you small. And it will always drown out that other voice, the voice of who you could be, which is the voice of your awareness. So, guys, if it is screaming at you in your head, that is not your awareness. That is your fear. That is your inner critic. That is the voice of your conditioning, the voice of perhaps your parents, the voice of all the fear, okay? Your awareness is that small voice of knowing within. Fixed mindset doesn't listen to your awareness. Fixed mindset listens to the loud voice of fear, which is always trying to drown out that small voice to keep you small, to keep you what it perceives as safe. But what it really does is it prevents you from going to that next place and changing up whatever it is that you need to do, taking a different tack, taking different actions, because it doesn't think that it's possible. It doesn't think that it's safe because it's fixed in that mindset. Growth mindset knows who you want to be, listens to that small voice, because that voice of your awareness is who you want to be already. Most of you just don't listen to it. So the way you get over the biggest hurdle from fixed mindset to growth mindset is to listen to your awareness. Listen to that little voice. Take action from your awareness. It knows who you want to be and is continually trying to nudge you in that direction. Don't ignore it anymore. Pay attention to it. And it might be scary to listen to it because it's telling you things that you would otherwise probably never consider or never do. Pay attention to it. Take action from it. Go towards that little voice. Go towards the thing that scares you. You get to be a little scared and do it anyway, whatever the it is. Even something like investing in yourself to work in the intensive program with us, that can be really scary. Investing 7K on a credit card, and you get to be scared and you get to do it anyway, because what's scarier? Investing 7K so you can finally break through the blocks, finally succeed with your singing for the next 10, 20, 30 years of your life, or looking back on, a year from now, 10 years from now, God forbid, 20 years from now, and you're in the exact same place with the exact same frustration and the sadness and even the shame of having that gift that you're just wasting and not living at the highest level. What's scarier? Investing 7K or have to go through the rest of your life knowing that you sat down on your gifts, wondering what if, knowing that you could have been something. Who could I have been? What could I have done? Because guess what, guys? You're going to be scared anyway. You're going to be scared investing 7K in this instance, or you're going to be scared having to look back to the rest of your life knowing that you did shit with what you could have done. Pardon me. I get so worked up about this because guess what? You're going to be scared anyway. So you might as well be scared getting what you want. Because regret, guys, regret is the most costly thing, which is why getting over this hurdle of fixed mindset to growth mindset is so very important. Growth mindset requires you to go beyond your comfort zone. And that's how we grow. It is called growing pains for a reason, guys. It's called growing pains for a reason because it's not always easy or comfortable to grow, because it requires you to do things that you've never done before and go beyond the comfort zone to do that. And we're scared because we want certainty of the outcome. But your awareness will never leave you astray. And so aligning with your awareness means no regrets, Listen to your awareness. Take action from your awareness when you get on stage, when you do your vocal practice, when you're deciding what to invest your time, your energy, and your money in. Listen and take action from your awareness. It knows who you want to be, and it is continually trying to nudge you in that direction. Do not ignore it anymore. Pay attention to it. Take action from it. So I've invited somebody to here today who really knows what it is like to go beyond her comfort zone. She has done it several times in the last year. First, in coming to decide to work with us, and how was she going to pay for it? How was she going to convince her husband? How was she going to deal with his reaction to what she was doing? And then again, in deciding to move forward and not go back to her corporate gig and put herself out there and pitch for shows. And how am I going to make a full-time income as an artist? I mean, she knows what it is like to pull the rug out from underneath herself, and how uncomfortable it can be to go beyond your comfort zone. And so I've invited her here to talk to you guys today about that and about her journey, to really share her experience better than anyone of what she's been through to do that, and the massive gifts and rewards that have come since she started operating this way. She is an incredibly talented singer and songwriter and worship leader. Some of you know her as your concierge in this workshop because she's been paying it forward in this community. She's one of my very favorite people on this planet. She's an intensive grad who went from a corporate job to singing full time in like 6 months. And she is a grandma, she is a wife, she has, so if you think you're too old, if you think your goals are not possible, I really want you to pay attention to what she has to say. They are possible when you are willing to go beyond your comfort zone. If you want something new, you got to be willing to do something different to get it. So please welcome one of our intensive grads, Amy DeLuca. Amy. Hey.
Hey, everybody. So
Hi.
happy to be here again today.
I'm so happy that because today we really get to talk. We really get into the meat of everything. So
I'm ready.
I would love for you to talk about what was going on before in your singing, what's happening now, and the ways in which you had to go beyond your comfort zone to get there.
Wow. Where shall I begin? Well, well, prior to Arden's workshop, I was unemployed. I had been laid off from a corporate job that I didn't like. I was miserable in, and I had a gig maybe once a month at best, and I was slipping into depression and this hopelessness, like my dream is slipping away. What am I going to do? And my husband and I were really stressed out about money. We only had my husband's income, and my unemployment was going to be running out. So I was at a point where I was really on my knees. And I believe in God. I'm, very spiritual. And I was freaking out. And one day I was on Instagram scrolling in my misery. And
Misery scrolling. How many people misery scroll just because we don't want to feel what we're feeling? So we'll just scroll.
pretty much. And I came across Arden's advertisement, and it was like immediate download, contact her. And I'm like, really? Wow, okay, I'm listening to this download. And I did. And I hopped on a call with her, I think within like a few days after I connected. And I remember my first call with Arden, and I sobbed and sobbed and sobbed for like an hour and a half. We were on the phone, and she was asking me such pertinent questions, like questions that no one has ever asked me. Like well, how's your skin? How are you having tummy issues? How's your marriage going? And I'm like, everything is crap, you know. So um, it was the best phone call, and I literally hopped on with her, and I made the decision to join the intensive that call. And I knew that if I didn't take that huge leap of faith, and mind you, I have to say this little disclaimer, I didn't even talk to my husband about it. So that was, I was literally texting him while I'm on the phone with Arden saying, "Oh, honey, by the way, I'm investing $7,000 and becoming resourceful, like Arden has said, throw spaghetti at the wall, see what sticks." So I'm doing all of these things because I knew if I hung up, I would not have done it. I would still be stuck on my sofa, miserable, depressed, and not knowing where my career was going or my life for that matter. So yeah. And my voice, well, that's a whole other story.
Well, okay, but like going beyond the comfort zone, not waiting for permission from your husband,
Yeah.
that's not comfortable. Remember, you called me the next day and you were like, I think I don't think I can do this. He's going to divorce me. Do you remember that phone call?
I remember that. Yes, he was very unhappy, and that's putting it mildly. That I went ahead and did this without having a discussion. And listen, I get that. However, it was like the one time in my life where I had to choose me. I'm like, I can't allow a man or sorry, I'm getting emotional. Thank you. For a child being a young mom and having to put my career aside for years. And then I wasn't going to do it anymore. I knew that I had to choose me, or life was going to choose something that I didn't want again. And I wasn't going to do that again. So, wow, who knew I was going to get it? Thank you for bearing with me, everybody.
But
So,
could but that's an important distinction because when you think about where you are now, that
yeah,
you 6 months, I mean, what have been your biggest wins and celebrations in terms of that you want to share with everybody about what you've been able to create by going beyond your comfort zone, by choosing you when it wasn't the easy, comfortable thing to do?
wow. Well, I am the CEO of my own company now. I mean, I'm my own boss. I get to um, book my own gigs. I get to decide what I want to do when I want to do it. I created my own schedule. I no longer feel like I have to chase after opportunities. The opportunities come to me. And these opportunities are actually getting more lucrative and they're getting higher caliber. And I just finished a Minnesota trip, which was being a worship leader. I was asked to worship this huge international worship convention in Fergus Falls, Minnesota. And that was like the one of my like the start of my dream. And I used to visualize what it would look like, what the stage would look like, what it would feel like, what the audience would look like, the lights, everything. And so much of that was that. And like there was a black stage. I visualized a black stage and all of these lights and the what is that? I can't even think, Arden.
The risers, the audience.
Yeah, like the what is that called? Where it goes, the stage is like low, and then all of the
Yeah.
um
Like
you
the
know
like an
Coliseum, like a Coliseum or like
yeah.
a amphitheater type of
Yeah,
thing.
because this was like thousands of people, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, and spiritual leaders from all over the world, as far as like Africa and Japan. It was and the love and the encouragement that we all received by our worship was just out of this world. It was literally dreams coming true. And I know that there would be no way, just in my mindset alone, before taking Arden's intensive, that I would have believed any of this. There's no way I would have believed any of it to be true. And in addition to that, being able to sing full time and make a highly successful living doing that There was never, it was always like this pipe dream. Oh yeah, maybe one day. But
But how long did you spend someday? Well, someday. Well, someday.
years,
How long? Years?
over 25 years of some days, oh, tomorrow, or, maybe this will happen, and just waiting, like that consistent, and like waiting that never ended. Oh,
Mhm.
maybe I'll do this tomorrow or next week. And, tomorrow never comes,
Well,
you know?
guys, someday is not a date on the calendar.
No,
And it's like at a certain point, we are given this one life. We are given, and I know this sounds like cheesy, but it's so freaking true. And if we're just going to continue to someday, there is no, when is now the time to move on my dreams? Is it scary to you put it on three different credit cards, and
did.
and how scared were you?
I was freaking out, like terror. But I knew my spirit was like, you're doing this and that's it. And my humanness was like, oh my God, how am I going to, that. And I'm like, no. And now all of that's been paid for like tenfold. It's
Yeah,
already been paid for
right.
tenfold.
But
And
there's
um,
but what you did, guys, and the reason I was so happy that Amy was willing to come on and talk again to us today was because the idea of fixed mindset versus growth mindset, the idea of the voice of fear, the inner critic voice versus the voice of your awareness. Her inner critic was screaming at her, don't put this on the credit card. You don't have a job. Your unemployment is running out. Your husband is going to kill you. How are you going to pay this back? Screaming at her. And she listened to her awareness. She didn't listen to that screaming big voice. She listened to the little voice. And it's not easy often to find that, right? But like knowing, well, first of all, if you knew then what you know now, it would be an easy decision because you have,
yeah,
and it's not just the money and making that back and having the successful singing business that you have, but, you and I have talked when, over and by the way, guys, it hasn't even been a year, okay? Like Amy finished up working with us, was it November?
yeah.
Yeah. Like, so this happens fast when you decide, when you just decide. And so when you were in that deciding, right? What was it for you that allowed you to have such trust in in doing it, in going beyond the comfort zone? What do you think it was?
The first word that comes to mind is faith. It's the trust and the faith that, and a knowing, like that still small voice, that knowing. And that for me, God gave me a gift. And it's my responsibility to take it as far as I can possibly take it and not waste it. And I knew I had to just, it was that the faith and the trust and this knowing, like I know, like this is the path. This is what has been missing from all the other vocal coaches that I've had. And being in theater, for musical theater, for years and years and years, I never had what Arden offers in any way, shape, or form.
So
So
I would love for you to share with everybody about now when you step on stage, like when you got on that stage in the worship conference, and that's something that you and I had talked about. I mean, first goal was like, okay, let's just set the foundation. Let's just set the foundation for the mindset and the skill set so that you have that trust in your body and trust in the moment that you can deliver. And then it was like, all right, now we need to set the foundation for income. It was cash flow. Remember, it was how
yeah,
are we getting gigs? What's in my mindset that's getting in the way, that's stopping me from charging what I am worth, from instead of charging $100 a gig, wherever you are now, I don't know, 400, 500, 600, 1,000, I don't know. But like, then it was that, and let's get you fully booked. And I remember you celebrating in our group, in the Facebook group, being like 14 shows booked this week, guys. And then like next week it was like 28 shows booked this week, guys. you know? And then, and now that, remember when that was hard? Remember when
yes,
and now that's just like what you do. And then the growth edge was, okay, Now let me make impact. And it's like, how do we now transition and getting onto that worship stage, and now that, like, where that growth edge is, right? So I would love for you to share with everybody now, when you step on a giant stage like that in front of 5,000, 10,000 people, however many people were there, what is the difference, that the biggest differences that you feel when you perform with your voice, with your instrument, versus how it was before?
It is an unwavering confidence in my instrument. It's the knowing. It's like I envision myself, like I have I guess you would call it a ritual, where before I step on stage, I close my eyes, or I could even do it with my eyes open now, where I drop down into my body and I get really grounded, and I visualize this golden white light from God shining from the heavens and literally just permeating every, from the crown chakra all the way to my feet. And I'm radiating in this light. And that's the light that I step on the stage. And it's like everything else, it just falls away. There's nothing that can penetrate this. It's unconditional love. And I walk out there with that light. And before, I was so terrified. A comparison, when I, because I'm a worship leader at my church, and my church is much smaller than this huge stage that I was on a couple weeks ago. And every time I would get ready to worship, I would be in such anxiety and worry, like, how am I gonna, oh gosh, there's gonna be that high note. I know I can reach it, but this, and then the inner critic is like, blah, 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 beating me up. Oh, what if this happens? What if that happens? And then my body starts to react, my throat tightens, I start to sweat, and my heart starts to race. And all of these physical signs start to happen because I'm freaking out. I'm future tripping about something that may or may not happen. But what I couldn't understand was the inconsistency. I'm like, how did I do it that time? And I can't do it. I can't replicate that. And now I know it had a lot to do with, well, obviously mindset, but breath support. My breath support was all up in here. It was like from,
That's created a lot by
yes,
the anxiety, by all the chatter, by being it right in the head. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes. It's like night and day. It's like night and day. And I knew that if I hadn't done all this work, and I continued to need to do the work. And you know what? Because I'm human, we're all human. That voice likes to creep back in. Sometimes old habits like to come back. I'm like, oh, what do you think you're doing? And it's like,
But
and
that's a skill. That's a skill that you learned.
yes,
You learned how to talk back. You learned how to relate to the inner critic, right? So in our program, guys, there's a whole training that we go through on inner critic work, and we have you guys name your inner critic. Do you remember what you named yours? I
yeah,
remember.
Deborah.
Deborah.
It's
Deborah. Every time it was the wah, 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 wah. And every time Amy would feel nervous, I'd be like, okay, what's the story that Deborah's telling you right now? You remember?
tell her to shut up and sit down. I already fired her.
Right. She's been let go from her position. She is no longer
Yes,
needed in this company, in this organization. We have sent her out to pasture. We have sent her out to retirement on a nice island in Fiji.
yes,
But these things, the idea of radical self-care we were talking about a couple of days ago, I want to really mirror back what Amy said about what she does before every single performance. That is a form of radical self-care. Doesn't matter if she's in 1,000, 1,200, whatever seat amphitheater. Doesn't matter if she's singing in front of 20 people at her church. Doesn't matter if whatever, that she now has a, like, what would you call it? Like a menu, a toolbox, like of the things that are
mhm,
what connect mind and body for you, so that you are consistent.
yeah,
And like, I really want to point out to you that what she described, that's for her, that's what she has found. And we helped her to identify what are the things that work for her in the context of the program. And it's different for every person. But for you guys to be in that growth mindset, to be in the place where you are really paying attention to the awareness, we need those self-care rituals, whether it's before a performance or otherwise, to condition our ability to tap into that. Because when the inner critic and the anxiety is screaming at you, it's really hard to come back over here. But when you've done that time and again, because we've conditioned it in moments that don't really count, not before you're about to sing in front of 10,000 people at the biggest worship conference that you've ever performed at, right? But just in studio class, like day to day, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, when you if you were talking to, somebody in here, because this is the last day of our workshop, right? And we have a big discount on our program. It's 9K usually, as you guys know, but it's $2,000 less if you take care of it, by the end of this workshop, or at least get yourself on a call with me. And so there's probably a lot of people in here who are like, I want this. I know I want this, but I don't even know how, or I'm scared. Will it work? Like, if you're talking to somebody who really wants more of what we do here, but they're worried, what advice would you give them, having been through it yourself?
I get the worry. I get the fear. I understand it all. I get the terror. I get the how. But you know what? The how is the universe. The how is God for me. I need to do my part in being proactive in what I'm being called to do, and God will do the rest. And for me, if I allowed my terror, the same fear, the same terror, the same um, mental or mindset and
Sabotage, the same sabotage.
yeah, the same sabotage, I don't even want to know where I would be right now. And for me, I knew that when I took that leap of faith, that God would provide. God would pave the way. And when I tell you that as soon as I made the decision on the phone with Arden and I paid for everything, it was this huge, enormous, like energetic, like the floodgates open. And it was like the energy was moving forward, and I felt the momentum just start to pick up after I signed up and made that and took that leap of faith. It was incredible. I was shocked. I'm like, I did it. I did it. And I'm not gonna die. The world didn't crumble, but I'm doing something for myself and my career, and I know it's gonna pay off.
Well, and it has. It has. And I
Has
remember, you were so worried about your husband being so pissed off. You think he's pissed off now that you're making as much money as you're making and doing what you're doing?
no, and you know what's so funny? He On a side note, Arden, he's like, and he said this recently. He's like, one of these days, I'm gonna like hop on the Zoom call and I'm gonna thank Arden from like on my knees, thanking her so much for how she's helped you and helped you to transform your life and our life. And it's true. And I forgot your question now because I was on the
I'm like, because we often, I mean, how many of you were like, okay, I need permission. I need to check with my spouse. I need to, and maybe you do, maybe you don't, but it's just like, it was a huge barrier. It really, your relationship was like not, and you guys, I have never met a single husband or wife that was not tickled pink when his or her partner was doing what they love, succeeding, lit up inside and making money at it.
Yes,
You
he
know?
loves it. He's like my wife. I have my wife back, and even parts of me that were probably dormant because I was in such a low place. So it has caused a ripple effect, not just in my musical career, my singing career, but in every aspect of my life. It has caused a ripple effect. So I pray, I get the fear, I get the worry, I understand that. And more so, I feel my heart hurts for those who are so, it's like that stronghold of fear and terror and worry about not being provided for, but for me, living with that regret, not taking that leap of faith would have destroyed me. And if I had to do it again, I would do it 1,000 times over. And I would continue to. And I just encourage you all to really, if you believe in God, the universe, whatever, to really pray on it. Listen to that still small voice and allow it to lead you, not the fear, but the faith.
Yeah. One of the things that I'll share with you that I've always kind of led with in my own life when I'm up to big things, but I don't know how I'm going to get there. And I know there's things that I need to do, could do, but I'm scared about taking that leap, up leveling, is that we teach the universe how to treat us. I'm a big believer in energy, as you know, from all the discussion this week. And we teach the universe how to treat us. And for the longest time, I was in such scarcity mindset. And what I was teaching the universe was that I'm not worth investing. Like when I say scarcity mindset, I'm talking about, when I was in my 20s and, getting my career up and running, I was terrified of anything with more than two zeros at the end of it. Like, I mean, and I and I held on to that because that was security, that was safety, I got a lot of my internal security from like financial safety, from not, that was what I was taught from my parents, and it served me to a degree, except it only served me to here. But see, I want to be over here. But I can't, if this scarcity is stopping me, we teach the universe how to treat us. I can't tell you how many times I've had conversations with singers who say, um, oh, I can't get this manager, I can't get this producer to work with me, I can't get this manager. And I'm like, yeah, okay, so you have literally never invested in your own growth as an artist, and you've never invested in whatever it is, training, in recording sessions, in this and in that, and yet you expect this other person to invest in you. That doesn't work. We teach the universe how to treat us. And what you were saying, Amy, case in point, is that when you were willing to bet on yourself, now everybody else wants to bet on you. You were willing to show up in abundance for yourself. Now that's coming back to you 25 times. And I know this can sound woo-woo, guys, and I know this is like, yeah, but I don't have 7K on a credit card. I get it. Neither did you.
Oh,
So what did you do?
I became resourceful.
Yeah.
And I had to trust. I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm making that leap, and the rest will follow.
Yeah.
The universe will provide, and the
Yeah.
universe has.
Yeah. And can I share, like, she took out a personal loan to do it? You had other sort of credit that you restructured in
PayPal
order
credit. Yep.
to do it, right? And it's like, if the fear of that, and I get that fear because that was me, right? It was like, oh, I don't want to go into debt. I don't want debt. Like, like,
Yeah.
guess what? I don't like debt either. But you know what I hate even more? Watching talented singers fail, not because they can't, but because they won't. What I hate even more than debt is watching a singer get to the end of their life and look back and go, what if? Watching a talented singer have to go through depression and how these things affect marriages, kid relationships, all of these things as they're watching their gift and their career fade into the rearview mirror and wondering, when will it ever be me? When will it ever be my time? And all the ways that affects a person.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's costing you guys. It's costing you. It's costing you time. I mean, how much time have you guys wasted in the hamster wheel of what's been going on with your singing, with your consistency, with your ability to land the high opportunities that you really want? How much time have you wasted on that hamster wheel? And how many opportunities have you lost or not been ready for or not been able to land because you weren't singing in the way that could get you there, make that impact, own that voice, own that stage? And then how much money, to Amy's point, how much money have you left on the table because you weren't singing in a way that could get you there. The money you guys are not earning is a cost to you. But if we are afraid to invest, it becomes a vicious cycle. Well, I'm not making any money, so then I can't invest. But if you don't invest, how are you going to ever get further than you need to go in order to make that money? I can't think of a single business that was ever successful that ever got off the ground without investment. The analogy I like to give is like if you want to start a bakery, and it takes investment to start a bakery. You have to get the ovens, and you have to rent a space, and you have to get staff, and you have to do marketing. That takes investment. However, if the cakes are kind of inconsistent and they're kind of sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not, then what is the point in doing and investing in any of the other stuff until that cake is like, oh, that is the best cake I've ever eaten in my entire life, right? And yet, if we're scared to make the investment to make that cake the best it can possibly be, then the widget is not very sellable. And so then we won't make money. And so it's like successful. This is for you guys, especially if you want to do this professionally, especially if whether you're currently doing it professionally or that's where you want to go with it. You have to think like a business. You are not an artist, you are a business. Your widget is your art, it's your impact. That's what you're selling. But you have to think like a business. And that means investment. And that doesn't mean that you have to have the investment, right? When you think of like Elon Musk and like SpaceX and Tesla, that's not all his money, some of it. But what is he doing? He's going to the big banks. He's getting financiers. He's getting big loans. He's getting, like that is how business is successful. So don't be afraid of that. But what Amy's saying is that none of that matters if the fear prevents you from believing that you can have what you want. And you can. Amy's evidence of it. Everyone you've heard from this week, Princess, Leia Lisa, Marie, right? Siri, Andre, who's here too. Like, it's time to decide that deciding is okay. And that you get to build this the way you want to build it. And if you need our help to do that, if you want our help to do that, I mean, you got so many great tools in the workshop today. And if you feel like you are ready to go out on your own and use these tools, do it ASAP, get out there, do it. But if you feel like you need that A to Z strategy to help you avoid the potholes, to help you avoid the walls you're going to walk into, to help you when you wobble so that you get up faster, to help mirror back to you the things that you wouldn't see otherwise, and you're somebody who doesn't want to have to wing it and figure it out on your own, that's what we're here for. That's what the intensive is for. So thank you so much to Amy for sharing your experience. She's available in the chat too if you want to have any questions to her. I'm sure she'd be happy to answer you. But I just want to celebrate all of you who have shown up to every day of this workshop, who have made your singing a priority when it is so easy to let life and other things get in the way. Life is in session, like I always say, and it's always going to be in session. So when is now the time to move on your goals and your dreams for your voice and for your singing? When is now the time to change? And I'm so impressed by those of you who have been here for all the days of the workshop, who have played full out, who have engaged with the content. I see you, Nunzio, Armin, Doris, Hadassah, Jenny, both Jennys, well, Jenny and Jenny, and Jenny and Jenny. There's Jenny with an I, Jenny with an IE. And Jess, congratulations to Jessica. She's going to be starting the program in a couple weeks. Joe and John, Louise, some of you, I recognize we've had calls. Some of you are on my calendar for calls. If you're not, get on my calendar. Let's figure it out. Medi and Mark, great job in the studio class the other day, Mark, Maria, Michelle, I got your email. I'm going to respond. We have had, so Michelle, you're in South Africa, is that right? You're like on the complete other side of the globe. I'm remembering that correctly? Yeah. Like, that's freaking commitment, guys. I don't even know what time it is where Michelle is in South Africa, but it ain't 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That's for sure. That is commitment. And by the way, guys, we have singers in the program all over the world. I have a singer right now, Suzette, who was in our last workshop, who is in New Zealand. We have a singer, Tordis, who's in Iceland. We have a singer who's joining us from Guangzhou, China. I always get that mixed up. Guangzhou, China. Okay. I've had singers in Hong Kong. I've had singers, and you guys, they're showing up in the middle of the night. Why? Because the dream is bigger than the fear. And it's only 4 months of your life. And when you're halfway across the world, we're going to be compassionate. We're going to help you with recordings. We're going to like do stuff, that allows you to be able to still show up and get the gifts no matter where you are. But like, can we just like massive props for Michelle here? Because that ain't easy, right? And me live, seeing you every day. Nunzio, get on my phone. We're going to figure out the financing. I don't know what it's going to be, but we're going to figure it out. Sharon and Sophia and Stacy and Sybil, like Willie. Oh, Willie's been here for like 3 workshops. Willie, you are like Mr. Commitment, Zudi, I see you guys. I really want you to know I see you. And if you decide that you are done with the inconsistency, you are done with the unreliability, and you are done winging it on your own and trying to figure it out on your own, then honoring you for how you've shown up so far, make that commitment to yourself. Get in here while the discount is still there. $2,000 discount for the intensive. It closes tonight, the discount. So if you want the discount, and even if you can't start right away, get on my calendar for a discovery call, and we'll see if this makes sense for you. And if you book the call today, even if we don't have the call until this coming week, you still get the discount if you enroll, but you have to get on my calendar today. And so Ashley just put the link for the call and the link where you can take care of your enrollment. We have one more one-on-one left for the pay in full. So that would mean just reminding you guys of what our payment options are. So we've got the pay in full, which is the most discounted. So I said the first 3 people who take care of the pay in full get a one-on-one, get 2 one-on-ones with me throughout the course of their program that they can use. So our enrollments so far have been coming in over here, which is great. This is the most flexible. But if you want that one-on-one, there's one left. So somebody's going to get it tonight. It might as well be you. We also have financing through PayPal, which is you would have to, fill out a little form. So if you click this, what happens is, oh, I'm not in the clickable version. Okay. If you click this, a form opens up, you enter your information, and then you click PayPal financing, and it will ask you questions about, your income, your credit score, to see if you qualify for financing. And if you do, guys, it's a no-brainer. It's as low as $350, $340 a month, depending on the rate and the term that you qualify for. Could be a 24-month term, could be a 36-month term. So there's always a way, guys. Always, always, always a way for the committed. Amy is living proof of that. Siri is living proof of that. Like, it is not easy to change your life. But for those who just decide that this is the life they want and they know they need help to get there, don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. So it's been such an amazing time to be with you guys and spend with you guys. Be sure to grab the replays and download the homework. If there's been homework from the last 5 days that you didn't get to download, the homework links and the replays go away by midnight tonight, after the final day of this. So download that stuff now. Stay active in the Facebook group. I will continue to see you in there. We have a couple minutes. I'm happy to stay just for 15 extra minutes or so. If anybody has any other questions, Ashley just put all the links in the chat for the homework and the replays. Thank you for that. That's awesome. Does anybody have any questions? You can just raise a hand or go ahead and unmute if you just want to pop in. I'm happy to answer any last questions while we are here. Okay, guys. You can always hit me up in the chat. And as Siri just put in, there's always ways to get resourceful. And you can read what she says. But guys, at the bottom line, I'm here for you. I helped Siri figure out a good payment plan. I helped Amy figure it out. Like, if you're struggling with money, it's because you're not out there making money with your music. And so we can't confuse the problem with the solution, right? We got to get you to that place where you know how to stand out from the competition and you know how to do that consistently, reliably, and regularly so you can make that impact. So, like Amy, you can come into the group and celebrate 14 gigs I booked this week, right? All right, guys. Thank you so very much. It's been my absolute pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And those of you who have calls, I will talk to you. Those of you who don't, get on my calendar. Have an enjoying rest of the weekend, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, everybody. I love you too. Celebrating you all.